Have you ever stopped, truly stopped, to consider how deeply mental health touches all of our lives? Here in Australia, we're facing a crisis that reaches into every corner of our vast nation. Let me share something that might give you pause. According to the Australian Institute of Health and Welfare, nearly 1 in 5 of us experience mental health issues each year. Since 2020, these numbers have been climbing steadily. But you know what? Behind each of these statistics is a real person, with their own unique story of struggle, of resilience, and yes, of hope. Recently was speaking to a leading mental health researcher at one of the Australian universities. Her words really struck me deeply. She explained, "What we're witnessing isn't simply a health crisis. It's a profound wake-up call for our society." Think about it. The combination of global uncertainty, the experience of social isolation, and the weight of mounting economic pressures. All of these have created challenges for Australians, mental well-being unlike anything we've seen before. Let's take a moment to reflect. We can see how this crisis touches every aspect of our lives. It ripples through our communities, reshapes our workplaces, and affects our families in ways both subtle and profound. From the busy streets of Sydney to the quiet corners of remote Indigenous communities, from our youngest students to our elderly neighbors, mental health challenges don't discriminate, do they? And you know what's changing? That old Australian saying of "she'll be right" is gradually giving way to something more honest, more human. An understanding that it's perfectly okay not to be okay. Dr. James Cooper, who works as a rural mental health specialist, shared something meaningful with me. He said, "In our country towns, we're witnessing a gentle but important shift. People are beginning to open up about their mental health struggles. But, and this is crucial, we still have work to do in making support services more accessible to everyone who needs them." To truly understand what we're facing, let's take a thoughtful look at these challenges. You see, mental health isn't simple. It's like a delicate web of interconnected factors touching Australians from all walks of life in every corner of our nation. The foundation of our mental health starts with biology. It's fascinating, isn't it? From the genes we inherit to the delicate balance of chemicals in our brains. The Black Dog Institute has found that these biological factors can influence up to 40% of our mental health vulnerability. These biological elements don't exist in isolation, though. They dance with our daily experiences and environment, creating a unique mental health journey for each of us. Let's pause for a moment to consider the psychological aspects of our mental health, the way past experiences shape us, how chronic stress affects our daily lives, and how our thought patterns influence our well-being. This becomes especially meaningful when we think about our First Nations people. It's especially applicable for them, as their intergenerational wisdom coincides with carrying the weight of intergenerational trauma. Yes, but they also carry something powerful, the strength of 60,000 years of resilience. When they bring together their traditional healing practices with modern mental health support, they could create something truly special. Pathways to wellness that honor both the past and the future. Take a moment to consider this. The impact of cultural disconnection and historical trauma continues to echo through generations. Let's reflect deeply on what These aren't just numbers, they're a call to action, asking us to create solutions that truly respect and embrace cultural understanding. Let that sink in for a moment. Now, let's take our time to think about how the social fabric of Australia shapes our mental health. In our beautiful but vast country, isolation takes many forms. Yes, we can connect digitally from Broome to Brisbane, but here's the question we need to ask ourselves, and I invite you to really consider this. Why do so many of us feel more disconnected than ever before? Let me share with you the story of Jack, a 45-year-old FIFO worker from Perth. His story might resonate with many of us. The hardest part? Being away from family for weeks at a time, missing those precious moments, birthdays, special occasions. Sure, video calls help, but they can't replace being there, can they? I've seen positive changes in how the mining industry approaches mental health, but we're still on that journey. And in our rural communities, the story continues. Sarah, farmer from regional New South Wales, opened up to me about her experience. During the drought, each day brought a new challenge. Watching your livelihood slowly slip away, it affects you in ways that are hard to put into words. The financial worry, the feeling of being alone, the uncertainty about tomorrow, it all becomes part of who you are. When we look at recent research, it helps us understand our nation's mental health journey more deeply. Let's take a moment to process what we're about to discuss. I want to share something that might make us all pause and reflect deeply. Since the pandemic began, we've seen anxiety and depression rates increasing. Our young people, in particular, have been carrying this burden. Let's take a moment to consider what these numbers really mean. National Study of Mental Health and Well-Being reveals something deeply concerning, and I want you to really hear this. 3.3 million of our fellow Australians have experienced high or very high levels of psychological distress in the past year. Let that number settle in your mind. When we look at young people in particular, Headspace has found that an astounding 34% of those aged 12 to 25 are facing significant mental health challenges. Have you noticed these changes in your own community? In our rural and remote regions, the situation becomes even more challenging, where finding help often feels like an impossible journey. What is the way out, and how would we overcome these challenges? We have to figure it out for our younger generation, as it is our responsibility. Perhaps the most important lesson is this. In our shared vulnerability, we find our greatest strength, and in reaching out to others, we often find our way back to ourselves.